YouTube, what the crap's going on? A beard-ripped stunty here, where I'm playing as the Dwarfs. And basically, I'm challenging myself. I've already played several battles as the Dwarfs. I might show you a couple of highlights from how things have gone. And I'm challenging myself to basically play every battle as them. And I've been using a lot of gyrocopter spam, and I'm questioning whether or not I should use that versus the Empire, because the Empire can be pretty good in the air. No, I don't want to save it. Cancel. Load it. Okay, this other player's ready. I've basically got like I said, like a gyrocopter spam here. I'm thinking the Dwarf Warriors' great weapons aren't necessary. Just a couple of those, and then maybe a couple of miners. So I mean, this is a very air-centric army. And I don't even know if this is smart. I'm just trying different stuff. I'm trying stuff that I would never try. Actually, I don't want this guy there. Let's grab 2 more Dwarf Warriors. There we go. I don't know. I kind of messed that up because I was choosing stuff at the last second. Basically just trying to get as much infantry as I can. I wanted a couple of quarrelers so that I have a place to fall back with my gyrocopters in case he brings a heavy air contingent, which he very well might. That's a big risk in me bringing these gyrocopters. So we'll see what happens. But the payoff in the gyrocopters is if my opponent underestimates the Dwarfs and doesn't really bring an air contingent, then he's going to be screwed. So that's the risk reward here. I've used this so far. I mean, obviously, just testing it against randoms in match-made battles is not really going to prove much. It's been successful for a couple of games here. I think that you can use weird combinations and kind of weird spammy armies with the Dwarves and occasionally pull off these wins. I just don't see them as being like a consistently good faction, and that's why I'm testing myself on this though. So again, I don't believe it, but a lot of people were making comments to the contrary in my last battle. So I'm basically taking a challenge here, and I'm going to play every battle I play this week is going to be the Dwarf. So I'm going to try and force myself to learn more about them. I'm going to try out different army compositions, from the weird to the more sensible. I'm going to try and stay in relatively dense ranks to try and protect from cavalry charges. So I'm going to keep my guys stacked up pretty thick. Got my runesmith. That's going to put him just a little bit further back. Yeah, we're going to have to see what kind of army the Empire player has. I'm not in a huge hurry to go face him. Let's kind of see what things look like first. I'm going to actually put my guys over here in these woods. Not all of them are hidden. That's fine. Okay, he does have a flying contingent, and it's significant enough. Let's immediately go into a skirmish with our gyrocopters, and let's split up into multiple directions. And we're gonna see what we can do in terms of being annoying. And if I have to, I'll fall back to my quarrelers for protection. Let's swing one gyro way around this way. Of course, he's gone into skirmish mode, so I'm not going to be able to... Okay, what do we got here? Demigryph Knights. Good target. So my opponent's gone great swords and demigryphs. I'm going to chase some of his units over here. Hopefully my guys will skirmish properly. They don't always. He's spawned up a feral manicore here as well. Keep trying to hammer these guys. Like I said, hopefully my skirmish function will work here. There's certainly no guarantee. Done a lot of damage to his Demigryph Knights so far. And I'm hoping to kind of annoy my opponent into a bad position here. Got attack orders from behind. We'll keep wrecking the Demigryph Knights. My infantry's really pretty crappy. If we can chase his demigryph knights within range of my skirmishers, though, it's going to work well. So my opponent's definitely going to play into my hands if he does this. Okay, he's just going to push forward. His demigryph knights are coming forward. He's just going to go straight in for a charge. I think this is foolish. I'm going to fall back with my quarrelers. Yeah, so my opponent's getting goaded into a fight here that he really shouldn't be taking. He's just going to go all in against my lord. And this sometimes can work. I'm going to go all in here. I'm going to start firing at some of his weaker units. Where's my runesmith? I need to get over here a little closer. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Extra armor, give him that one. Let's find a demigryph knight. Try and finish off his demigryph knight. So notice he's just charged in from all the way across the map. He's still doing okay for himself. He's not doing great. I finally got rid of his guys there. Let's try and get rid of this Empire Captain. See how he's just pulling through my men, though. But he's taken so much damage from my gyros that I don't think this is going to turn out good for him in the end. I'm going to keep firing on his Empire Captain. I'm going to pull further away from this. I need to get another unit ready to block these guys. If I can just get Ungrim to survive. Yeah, there we go. If he can survive longer than the enemy lord, we got it. So my opponent's all-in approach here was pretty foolish. I need to get that guy off the battlefield, but I've taken a pretty severe beating here too. I need to bomb his infantry if I'm going to be successful, so I'm going to go ahead and line up my gyrocopters for bombing. And I'm going to keep firing at his units back here. Should be able to knock out the demigryph knight as it regroups. His lord is off the battlefield. Okay, his great swords, spears, all that stuff's lining up. Let's get a buff going. I'm going to hurt. I'm going to try and buff that out. I'm going to wait till his great swords come in. I want to try and get a good bombing run on him. So my opponent here wholeheartedly underestimated charging in all his units, and now I'm going to hopefully make him pay with the bombers. I'm going to start doing bombing runs. Okay, I'm going to come around and make another bombing run. Okay, got a demigryph knight into me out here. That's bad news. Okay, my gyrocopters kind of failed to skirmish away a little bit there, but won't be the end of the world. Use my runesmith. Let's make another bombing run. I'm going to roll my guys through. Got another good bombing run. Let's make another bombing run. My opponent's Manticore is going to be incapable of facing my gyrocopters at this point. Comes another bombing run. There we go. Got it done. So this time was a clear victory, but I mean, my opponent made many, many mistakes here that favored me. So what it does show is that a unorthodox dwarf build like this can throw people for a loop. I accidentally saved over one of my previous battles with that one, but yeah. So I mean, his build here versus the dwarfs was pretty lazy, to be honest. And I'm not saying that to be mean. I'm just saying it is. He went with a pretty sturdy air contingent, which typically versus the dwarfs, I like this idea. I think it's good. I think the demigryph knights also make a lot of sense, and great swords make sense. However, the dwarfs do have some very deadly skirmishers, and he would have had to have coordinated this better. Sometimes the dwarfs can bring artillery. The artillery can be deadly versus this stuff, but I think if I would have brought a more traditional dwarf army, it would have put me in a lot worse shape. But you see, with the gyrocopters here, I was able to cause so much damage to his demigryph knights and to basically the bombs in his infantry here. We got quite a few bomb kills, and it helped demoralize his great swords. Of course, his lord was off the field. So again, my opponent was way too impatient. His pick definitely could have been better, but again, what I'm trying to do to make the dwarves viable at first, at least until I learn more builds, was pick an army that is completely unexpected. So a couple of gyrocopters is sometimes expected with the dwarfs, but almost no like a ton of gyrocopters is not typically expected from an opponent. It is a risk. It's not always going to work, especially if your opponent has like a bunch of. This would be a very risky move against Bretonia, and probably one that I wouldn't recommend for sure. And I was lucky here that Ungram Iron Fist didn't die. But using the Runesmith basically to buff up cheap troops and make them last longer. Quarrelers are there to help protect your gyrocopters if you need a fallback point. If my opponent had artillery or something like that, that's why I deployed towards the back of the map. I tried to get into the forest to help slow down some of his large units. That's basically the gist of that build. We'll keep trying more. HeirofCarthage, signing out for now.